I hate being the bearer of bad news, but you're going to have to reorganize your entire man cave around a 2025 AFC West championship pennant for your Denver Broncos. We're going game by game through the NFL schedule release for your Denver Broncos, and I find it increasingly difficult to see the Broncos getting out of this season with less than 11 wins. I think that is our new floor. I am hyped about how this schedule is breaking for the Broncos. There's no wonder why you hear people inside of the Broncos facility just say this schedule is beautiful, and it is beautiful. So if you're new to the channel, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan named Ben, and it helps me in the algorithm out a ton. If you like the Broncos, would you smash that like and subscribe button? So here it is, a overview of this schedule. Truly, the only negative things you're hearing about the schedule is maybe a little bit of a dud on the schedule release video when you got hilarious dudes like Peyton Manning, and you have faces that everyone knows now, like the defensive player of the year, and you got Bo Nix. Why not use them somehow in the schedule release? Like even the Buffalo Bills did. Josh Allen is in his. But yeah, I thought seeing kids fall off sheep with helmets of different teams on there was hilarious. Whatever. I'd give it like a 5 out of 10 of the release. But if that's what we are nitpicking, that is a win for us as Denver Broncos fans, because truly this is playing out absolutely perfect for the Broncos to go at least 11 wins. So let's go through it game by game and just kind of my overview. We are starting the year off with the Tennessee Titans. I think that is perfect for us. The Broncos have a huge home field advantage playing early. We also have the best defense in football, and we have a chance to go up against a rookie quarterback. The stats other than Caleb Williams, if you take Caleb Williams out of it, rookie quarterbacks who are the first pick in the draft are 0-14 in their first start in the league, and that's going to be, that was the worst team in football last year, so I love this as a ramp up for the Broncos, almost an extended preseason. From there, we go to Indianapolis, not a huge flight, and you're playing in a dome, so the heat, humid Midwest summer doesn't matter. The weather isn't going to matter there, and I think this is a huge, huge advantage again for the Broncos. This is the game that's closest to my house, so you better believe I will be there week number 2. And you got Broncos going up against the Colts. I don't need to remind you last year that the Broncos just mollywopped them. The Nick Bonito jumping into the end zone and getting that fine for his celebration dance when the Marshawn Lynch happened there. But this game actually was a little closer than it looked. Do you remember Jonathan Taylor was running into the end zone and they were going to go up big on us, and he dropped the ball at the 1-inch yard line, and that kind of turned the entire game around. So they are a decent team, but I just think the Broncos improved so much more than they improved, and they are already trying to dodge us because remember, the Broncos requested to play them in Germany, and they said, we want nothing to do with them. Well, you're going to have something to do with us week number 2. So then we go back-to-back away games, but we know the Chargers, that's not a massive advantage for them when it comes to the away, when it comes to them playing home games, that truly that stadium gets orange and blued out at SoFi Stadium there in Los Angeles. And so I think this is going to be Sean Payton's attempt to really get back at the Chargers after dropping 2 to them last year. Remember the first game that we lost to him that was early on in Nix's career, that was the game when Pat Surtain had the concussion on the first defensive snap, and really our defense was scrambling, and finally they got a hold of it in that fourth quarter. We went on a run, and Herbert could do nothing against us, and then this game that we lost to them later on, this 34-27 game, that was the weirdest game with a fair catch on the punt, and we interfered with it, and so they got to do basically like a free kick from the 50-yard line, and it was just a weird game. This is the game Sean Payton wrote, run the ball on his play sheet, and yet he still didn't. I think the Broncos immensely improved this offseason, and I don't say the same thing about the Chargers, so give me a 3-0 start for your Denver Broncos, and I'm wildly hyped about this. Then we come home. So we go 2 in a row. We go home. Monday Night Football. You're already starting to see the difference. Last year, the Denver Broncos had one nationally televised night game, and that was the game against the Bengals. And then we had the Thursday night game, which everyone has. This year, you're seeing the Broncos are on nationally televised games 5 times. And my guess is with how hot we are going to be that you will see us, one of our later games, also get flexed in. Our last game of the year is flexible. If we and the Chargers are both competing for a playoff spot, that game will be hit our max of 6 primetime games. But here's our first primetime game, a home Monday Night Football opener. And I think this is going to be wild. The atmosphere there, we remember that when we played them last year, it took overtime, and Bo Nix, as a rookie, led a game-tying drive there to Marvin Mims. I think we've gotten way better than the Bengals have, and we've talked a lot about the dysfunction Cincinnati has had, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So you look at this Broncos team that held Joe Burrow to 30 points last year, has added Hufanga, has added Dre Greenlaw, is going to have a healthy Riley Moss. That was the first game Riley Moss was back, so I feel very good about this. I think we are starting the season 4-0. Now, here's the first game that I think is going to be a loss. I think going to Philadelphia after, this first stretch is going to be very, very difficult. Week 5, going in and playing the Super Bowl champs, knowing that the Broncos last year, biggest struggle was stopping the run, playing Saquon Barkley and that offense. I think that is going to be a very, very tall task. They're going to have all the confidence in the world. So at this point, I think the Broncos are going to be 4-1. And from Philadelphia, here's what all the rumors are, that we play the next week in London. So we would save, about 2,000 miles of flight time and a huge flight if we just stay over and go from Philadelphia straight to London to play the Jets in week 6. So I think that Sean Payton had requested, he wants back-to-back road games on the East Coast. It does not look like in this schedule that we actually have that, but we kind of do have that if we just stay in Philly and fly from Philly to London. I think that could be a really sneaky advantage for the Denver Broncos. So week 6, playing the Jets, here's where I think we bounce back into it, and I think we beat the Jets handily. Remember, Bo Nix's 4th game here, playing Aaron Rodgers. That was the wet ball. That truly was the worst we saw of Bo Nix. He could not seem to throw the ball very well, but either could Aaron Rodgers, and this was his first touchdown pass was to Cortland Sutton when we played them last year. So give me another win here. We're bouncing back to it, and I think the Broncos are 5-1 at this point and feeling very good. So then from there, we fly back and we negated a bye week, and that is something that scares a lot of people. So Sean Payton would have had the choice, do you want your bye week 7, or do you want to go straight from London straight back and play right away? And that, to me, it's like, oh, that is brutal to fly 20 hours or whatever that flight time is and then play in this hyped up game with Russell Wilson coming back. So I'm just, to guard my own heart, I'm going to predict that that's going to bite us in the butt and we are going to lose here. And so now we're at 2 losses for the year, but it is worth noting, and Zach Stevens pointed this out, and I thought it was really cool here, that there have been 20 teams in NFL history who've negated having a bye week after that international game, and they're 12-7. So I would have guessed that, man, after that massive flight, the deck was stacked against you, but maybe it isn't. And maybe the fact that the Broncos do have the Giants, who are kind of a meddling team at times, maybe they have more of a shot in that game than I think. But this is one of the parts of the schedule that I don't love. I do love the fact that our bye week is going to be later. So then I think we bounce back here and are in great shape here. And I think we demolish the Dallas Cowboys at home. I think that matches up perfectly for us, that Javonte coming back to town, they don't have a running game. I think our secondary matches up perfectly with their highly touted wideouts, and I don't actually believe in Dak Prescott that much. So I think the Broncos win here. Then we go on the road and we play the Houston Texans. Now, I think Houston is going to have a much better year. They really struggled last year injury-wise, and so I think they're just going to bounce back from that. We saw what they did to the Chargers last year in the playoffs, and intercepted Herbert 4 times in that game. So I think this is a tough game. The reason I'm optimistic about it was the last time that Sean Payton faced these guys. We remember Russell Wilson had 1st and goal at the 4-yard line with 4 opportunities to score the go-ahead touchdown, and he couldn't. And so you would say the Broncos have gotten much better from that point. So if we played the Texans tight without him, we should be even better now. But I'm going to predict, just to guard my heart here, that this is also a loss. So I'm saying a surprise loss to the nobody believes in us Giants. I think we're going to lose to the Eagles, and then I think we're also going to be losing to the Texans away. So we are at 3 losses on the year. We get a get-right game here. Thursday Night Football, always the advantage goes to the home team, and so I love the fact that you got now a homecoming. You coming back from playing in Houston, and you get the Raiders at home, a get-right game, them playing on a short week. And I think by this point in time, I'd said in one of my last videos, I'd love to play the Raiders late because I think they might start out hot. So by now, I think by week 10, they could already be way out of playoff contention and start kind of phoning things in. And so I like that we play them. We're going to win there. Then we have a little bit of a mini bye here, which is really nice before we play the Kansas City Chiefs in week 11. So the fact that we get 10 days off of rest, so we'll be done Thursday night after a win, and then we won't have to play again until the following Sunday, which is great. Now, the bummer of this is that the Chiefs play us coming into Denver off of a complete bye week themselves. And so that's going to be kind of negating our 10 days rest, but in the same time, it kind of negates their bye week. But I think Sean Payton is going to pull out all of the stops here. This is going to be a must-win game if we want the AFC West. I think we're a playoff team either way, but we've got to get this game against the Chiefs at home to make the playoffs, and we go from there to our bye week. So I think Sean Payton's rallying cry to the team is, hey guys, we win this game and you get a full week off, and then we'll start prepping for the home stretch. I love where the bye has fallen. I think last year was a week 14 bye, and by then guys were strung out and they were tired. I think this has fallen more towards exactly where you want, and really the Broncos just have to make it to week 18, and they have everything out they're not looking in the rear view. They're looking straight ahead at a deep playoff run after that. So right now we're at 3 wins from our bye. Again, a little bit of a negative with this is that we go from our bye to one of the biggest games of the year, another primetime game on national television, Sunday Night Football. You get to see Bo Nix go up against Jaden Daniels. Now, I love this matchup. I think Bo, in 5 years, we'll all look back and say Bo was the better quarterback in that draft class, but Jaden looked ridiculous last year. What they did to Detroit Lions, they looked absolutely legit, and I think this is going to be a great matchup. The bummer of this is that the Washington Commanders also have a bye week. I don't ever remember in all my Broncos fandom, the bye week is always an advantage because you have more time to prep, and coming off a bye, you're ready to go. And this is now 2 years in a row that the Broncos are negated their bye week advantage because they're playing a team coming off their bye week. That same thing happened to us last year, and that was a huge bummer for us as well. But just again, to guard my heart, I will predict that this is also a loss, so we are at 4 losses for the year. We get a get-right game right away again, and we get to go into Vegas and play the Vegas Raiders. I think that is a win for your Denver Broncos. I think at home we match up extremely well with the Green Bay Packers, and so I think that's also a win. Then we get another back-to-back home game. We get the Jacksonville Jaguars, the return of Travis Hunter to Denver. I think the Broncos are winning there. And then the game that we heard about immediately was that the Broncos get a chance to play on Christmas Day, another Thursday game, short week, but also a short week for the Kansas City Chiefs going into Arrowhead. And I think, again, this is going to be where it's really coming down for the division. And I think the Broncos are going to actually get back at the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're going to win this year in Arrowhead. And then this one truly could be for all the marbles right here, that we end our season at home against the Chargers. The NFL is very strategic in where they're putting these. They want meaningful games at the end of year, and you really can't think of a more meaningful game as the Chargers, Chiefs, and Broncos are kind of ending the year, and we're going to be battling for that number 1 spot. All of this is a sign to me that the NFL believes the Broncos are going to be making a deep push and going to be in the AFC West hunt all the way through the year, which is why the schedule is playing out exactly like it is. So let me know in the comments, what are you feeling? What are your initial thoughts? I'm saying that we are a 4 losses is going to be my ceiling for this team, and I think I would say I think the Broncos are going to end up with 11, 12 wins, and that's my floor for this team. And I could see a 13-win season depending on how all this breaks out. We got a lot more coverage the rest of this week as we'll look at the Chiefs schedule in depth and the Chargers schedule in depth and kind of break down that with an official prediction on that. But let me know in the comments your initial reaction. Broncos country, I'm hyped. Football's almost here. We got a ton to Bo-LIEVE in.